I'm guessing that you have heard of India Beach and Fantasy Island. These are two classic amusement parks that have been entertaining people for generations. Both parks announced that they would close for good, to everyone's surprise and sadness. Both parks were purchased a few years ago by Apex Parks Group, a company that mostly acquires and operates family amusement centers. Was Apex not able to run parks as big as India Beach and Fantasy Island? More importantly, is there hope to reopen these legendary parks? With people's support, hopefully a bar could be found and we could get them up and running again. This is the history of these two very popular defunct amusement parks. India Beach was created as Ideal Beach in 1926 by the Spackman family, who owned it for 82 years. It opened with a bathhouse, concessions, and 10 rowboats. The following year, they opened a toboggan water slide. During the Great Depression, they purchased more land for attractions that would eventually become one of the area's most beloved entertainment and vacation destinations. In the 40s and 50s, as resort competition grew, the Spackmans made a mini Coney Island at India Beach, with familiar attractions including a Ferris wheel, a merry-go-round, and a roller plane, and an unofficial Little Dipper. In 1952, the name was changed to India Beach, and it was advertised as the Riviera of the Middle West. As the park expanded, so did its entertainment. India Beach hosted the greats of the jazz era, including Louis Armstrong and Glenn Miller. And in the 60s, he had concerts with rock and roll greats such as The Who, The Beach Boys, Frank Zappa, and Janis Joplin. In the 70s, Little Dipper closed and was replaced by an SDC Galaxy. In 1984, India Beach got its first and last coaster from Schwarzkopf, a Jetstar named Tig'rr coaster. More roller coasters and attractions followed, and by the 90s, the area attracted 700,000 visitors and made $50 million each year. In 2015, Indiana Beach was bought by Apex Parks Group. 5 years later, in February 2020, Apex announced that they gave up the park and have not been able to find a new buyer, and so India Beach closed. With public support, we may be able to save this park and Fantasy Island. I am now going to tell you the history of Fantasy Island itself. In 1961, Fantasy Island opened on 12 acres of land in Erie County in western New York. Originally a family park with themed areas such as Action Town, Animal Kingdom, and Western Town. It was home to a local children's TV program, also called Western Town. In 1972, they installed a Schwarzkopf Wildcat, a common roller coaster of its day. In 1974, to broaden the appeal of the park, they expanded to 85 acres to allow room for more adult thrill rides. The park will eventually become home to dozens of rides and attractions, including Water World, a water park. While always revered as a classic family destination in the Niagara area, the park went through many ups and downs, including several ownership and name changes. In 2016, Apex Parks Group purchased Fantasy Island. Reports began to surface in recent years that the park had fallen into disrepair. Just like India Beach, Apex announced that the park would close in February 2020 because they could not find a new buyer. The public responded with sadness and frustration, which has renewed interest in the park. Apex and the town of Grand Island report that there are now buyers interested in purchasing and reopening the park. However, some of the rides have been reportedly sold and removed. These parks were summer destinations for thousands of people, and it's sad to see both of them go. With enough public support for these parks, they may just be able to find a new buyer. Before we get into this park review, I just want you to know that I will usually be doing this right after I visit a park. I went to Busch Gardens Tampa last December, and I would have made a park review earlier if my channel made videos then. Way.
2,000 years later.
Way earlier if I had made videos then, but now that I do, let's get into this review. So, when I went in, it was pretty crowded. This may have been because it was literally the day after Christmas, and there isn't a bad time to shout, "Jesus Christ! Look at all of the long lines!" The first ride I went on was Cheetah Hunt, an intimate blitz coaster with 3 launches, good airtime, decent theming, and 1 version. The next ride I went on was Cobra's Curse, a Mack Ride spin coaster. This is the only spin coaster in Florida with a unique layout, but that will change in 2021. I think I got lunch before or after on Cobra's Curse, but I can't remember which. Then I rode Scorpion, a painful Schwarzkopf of Silver Ale. This ride is outdated, I have to say that. And if it wasn't built 40 years ago when B&M didn't exist, then I would have said this. Should have gone to B&M! Ow. After riding that Schwarzkopf paint machine, I got a wax statue at a machine, and it had Giraffe its baby. And I now have it as a souvenir. The final ride I went on was Sand Serpent, a wild mouse that was originally located at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, but in 2004 it got relocated to Busch Gardens Tampa. There was a stupidly long line for just a wild mouse coaster, and after that I left. Anyways, this park has a lot of people and fans, and everyone is really hyped for the RMC of Gawazi. I'm hyped too, and this park I would recommend, especially for the crowds. The park has amazing scenery and good food. The overall score for this park is 9 out of 10. Also, I need an outro, so expect one later videos. Thank you for watching, and if you would like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. See you next video.